people have calcified pineal glands now. And this is a huge, huge problem because if our pineal gland is calcified, then we aren't able to access our intuition. And so many of the things in our day-to-day life and environment actually lead to the calcification. We could all use this deeper connection to our intuition, into ourself, into our higher power. Welcome to Divine Alignment. I'm your host, Jasmine. I'm a holistic nutritionist, energy healer, and hypnotherapist. I help you awaken your inner healer through holistic health and nutrition, along with expanding your consciousness. Through raising the vibration of your health and thoughts, I want you to have divine alignment in your mind, body, and soul. Let's go to the show. Hello, beautiful souls. I am so happy you're here because today's topic is something I have been so passionate about lately, and it's all about how to activate our pineal gland. Now, you might be thinking, what the heck is a pineal gland? Why do I want to activate it? And I'm going to tell you guys all about it because especially for me lately in my life, this has been super important. And I realized that in the past few episodes, I've been talking about just listen to your intuition, trust your gut, and all of these things. And listening to your gut is your intuition. And our pineal gland is a huge source of our intuition. And so if this is blocked, we are not able to tap into our intuition. So I thought, what a better way to do an episode on how do we activate this and how do we really bring our pineal gland to life. So there's the detoxing of it and also then like the opening up of it. So I'm going to talk about all of that. But first of all, I just wanted to start off with what the heck is our pineal gland? So our pineal gland is also referred to as our third eye. So if you're into the chakras, it's the third chakra. You can kind of, if you want to picture it, it's actually located like right in between your eyebrows, in your forehead. And it is an endocrine gland in the brain. It's behind our pituitary gland. And it is said to be the seat of our soul, or kind of like this gateway to our higher self and ultimately our higher power. So whether you want to say God or universe, it's really what connects us to our higher knowing. From kind of just like a physiological aspect of the body, it secretes melatonin. So if you're having trouble with sleep, you might be having this could really help you to kind of unblock or decalcify the pineal gland, because it does this by secreting melatonin and it converts it to serotonin. So then our pituitary gland is able to stimulate this production of melanin in the body. So what happens for so many people in the Western world is that people have calcified pineal glands now. And this is a huge, huge problem because if our pineal gland is calcified, then we aren't able to access our intuition. And so many of the things in our day-to-day life and environment actually lead to the calcification of our pineal gland. So if we have a calcified pineal gland, it's going to look like having disturbances in your sleep, in your cognition, not being able to have a very good sense of judgment, having bad reaction time or slow reaction time, having a bad perception, or even just not the performance that you want in your life. And I think it's really cool because I'm really into Chinese medicine and Ayurveda. And in Ayurveda, they say that a blocked third eye will give you uncertainty or confusion or jealousy or even pessimism. So if these are any emotions that you are finding yourself experiencing, this could also be because of our pineal gland. On the opposing hand, on the opposite side, if our third eye is open, and according to Ayurveda, we will have clarity, intuition, empathy, focus, and decisiveness. So I don't know about you guys, but those are all things that I really want. And what really got me into really wanting to do this episode is my own something that I find myself really struggling with is decisiveness. I am, and going back to Ayurveda, I am, my main dosha is Vata. So for those of you who are familiar with that, that is the wind energy. So there's Pitta, Vata, and Kapha. And I am, I'm very I love to be free spirited, and I love to I'm like the type of person who can look outside and it's sunny and just be like, oh, I'm going to leave and drop everything and just go for a hike. Or plans are really hard for me because I love to just do what I'm feeling in the moment. And so making decisions has been difficult for me. And lately I've been faced with some difficult decisions that I wish that I was better at decision making, because if I could just make a decision and stick with it, I just feel like my life would be so much easier. So I start diving into, well, what can I do? What can I do in my life to support this? And in this episode, I'm really excited to share with you guys because a lot of these things that we can do to support our pineal gland are through food, which as a nutritionist, that's always the first place I like to start, is with our food. Because I think that when we nourish and optimize our physical body, we can then optimize and have access to our spiritual body. And I think that that is really the most beautiful thing, and what I am really seeking to do in my life. Whether you're just wanting to get better decisions in your life, whether that's in your relationships, your health, your finances, whatever it is, or to really transcend and go beyond the mind, this is the episode for you. So let's dive in. I wanted to first just talk about that in today's age, especially mostly in the United States. I don't know where you're listening, but typically in the United States, we have so many things nowadays that are causing our pineal gland to become calcified. So as I mentioned earlier, this is kind of like the calcification of this gland decreases our access to our intuition and to it really functioning at its optimal and giving us all of the amazing benefits that it has for us. So things that cause this calcification are going to be toxins, so from food, from non-organic food and pesticides. And the biggest thing that causes calcification of the pineal gland is fluoride. Fluoride is this is like a topic that I could go off all on its own. Fluoride is most commonly found in our toothpaste and our water. So they're putting fluoride in the tap water, and they've said for years and years that they do this so that for better for dental reasons. It's actually, we do not need fluoride. Fluoride is not good for us. And the more that we can actually reduce our fluoride intake, the healthier we're going to be. I use a water filter to make sure that I'm not getting any fluoride in my water. I actually think, so I'm in Portland, and I think that in Portland there's actually a ban against fluoride in the water, which is super cool, but it's not like that in most other places. And another thing you can do is just switch to fluoride-free toothpaste. This is becoming a bigger topic. And so, I I heard that you can even get fluoride-free toothpaste at Walmart now. So, like, it's very accessible. This isn't something that you have to go to Whole Foods for. You can if you want. But really, I think you can get fluoride-free toothpaste anywhere. So this is like just number one. I mean, I'm going to get into all of the things that we can do to detox our pineal gland, but number one is removing the stressor and the things that are causing it to calcify. And so that's going to be number one, switching to fluoride-free toothpaste. Two, getting a good water filter that deliberately says that it gets rid of the fluoride. And three is going to be just looking at your foods and trying to get foods that are organic or non-GMO whenever possible. Okay, so now that we did those things, I want to get into my favorite herbs and nutrients and foods that we can do to support our pineal gland. Now, these are going to be ones that support but also detoxify. So, like I was talking about that calcification, these foods and nutrients and vitamins can actually work to chip away at that calcification so that we can really access our full intuition and really access our full pineal gland. My number one is, so in these, I'm saying number one, but these are not in any particular order actually. Although I will say I'm saving my best or favorite one for last. So stay tuned till the end to hear my very favorite one is going to be very last. So number one is milk thistle. This is, I think a lot of us have heard of milk thistle. It's used to detoxify, especially the liver. And this just works to remove heavy metals from the environment that we get from pollution, from our food. It's really scary how many pollutants we're being exposed to on a daily basis. So milk thistle is a really just gentle supplement that we can do to just detox our liver. And also, I should just say disclaimer for all of these, especially with herbs and supplements, it's always great to work with a nutritionist or a practitioner so that you can muscle test to see how many you need or if it's in alignment with you and your body. And also just to, monitor your body and make sure that you're really taking things that are going to be great for your health and that really support you. So that's my disclaimer. This is not medical advice by any means, just my opinions and my things that through my research and work with my clients that I love to use. Okay, number two is chaga. So chaga is a mushroom, and I think mushrooms are getting a lot of media attention lately, which I think is so cool. They've definitely become kind of the new trendy hip buzzword in the wellness world. I think mushrooms are amazing. And I'm not talking about like the psychedelic mushrooms. I'm talking about like the therapeutic food grade mushrooms. So, other ones you may have heard of are like reishi and cordyceps and some of these. So chaga is an amazing mushroom because it provides us with melatonin, which, as I mentioned earlier, we all know melatonin is great for sleep. And it basically activates the pineal gland to create melanin, which becomes melatonin. It's also anti-tumor and has antifungal properties, which is so great. So Siberian chaga has been shown to be the most potent, and I found these really cool. So the Chinese call it the king of plants, and in Siberia they call it a gift from God, and the Japanese refer to chaga as the diamond of the forest. How cool and beautiful is that? So you can see that all of these cultures are really using this mushroom in such beautiful and medicinal ways, and I think that it's just such such a beautiful way to take care of our body. That's nowadays our default is to go to surgeries and pharmaceuticals and things like this, when really we have like these ancient plants are so healing and so therapeutic and so beneficial to our body. Chaga, I know that there's a few ways that you can get it. I have a few companies that I personally love and work with that do really great quality chaga. And I'll link those in the show notes for you guys. But you can get chaga as a powder form, as a capsule, or a tea. So those are kind of the three main ways. What I love to do is either just put it in my smoothie or my oatmeal. You can't really, well, actually, no, chaga is kind of one of those ones that does have a stronger taste. So I do like to either blend it in a drink. It's really good blended like with some cacao and some water and almond milk. I like love to make that as like a little afternoon pick me up, because chaga is known as even giving us energy. It's kind of like the force field in a cup. It's really great for like a pick me up as well. So those are the main ways to take it, but it's also really easy if you just want to take it in capsule form. So I would say if you are doing it therapeutically, capsule form is probably going to be better. So the next one is going to be iodine. So number 3 is iodine. And I feel like our traditional culture has really scared us with iodine. Here's the thing. Iodine is an essential nutrient in our body. However, a lot of the iodine supplements out there today are not beneficial. That is because most of them are synthetic. Our body doesn't recognize it. So, how do we get around this? My absolute favorite way to get around this is by doing algae or things like seaweed. So, these are going to be chlorella, spirulina, and blue and green algae. These are super rich sources of iodine, and they're from food. So our body knows exactly what it is and is able to extract the iodine and help support our body. And I mean, iodine is amazing for the pineal gland, but works for so many processes in the body, especially even anyone with thyroid conditions. You're going to want to be getting in iodine. It's super important. I just can't stress this enough. And it's really sad how much fear our Western medicine has put around iodine, because, well, and it is actually toxic if you just get synthetic form of it. I remember even learning in school how toxic it can be. But then when I was working with my holistic doctor, who really got me into energetics and muscle testing and introduced me to the supplement company that I use, she introduced me to an iodine that is not synthetic and that our body recognizes, and now it's one that I use with my clients. The best way for just the average person who doesn't, if you don't want to work with a practitioner or something, just get seaweed. So either eat seaweed or get some chlorella tablets, or they even make like spirulina powder. All of those are going to be amazing, and your body will recognize it because it is from food. And basically why iodine is so important in the body is that it immediately increases the body's ability to release fluoride, and it kind of just like detoxes the pineal gland. I will note that increasing iodine can reduce calcium. So in order to mitigate this, just add in some extra foods that have calcium in it. So these are going to be things like broccoli or kale or almonds or even flax seeds. So super easy. I'm not, again, a huge fan of calcium supplements, at least the traditional ones. I work with a company that does make better calcium, but I'm not a huge fan of like just regular calcium you'll get at your health food store. So just eat foods like broccoli and kale and almonds and flax that have calcium in it, and you'll be golden. And another note is when purchasing seaweed of any type or algae of any type, I try and purchase it from Icelandic sources. And this is because it is the furthest away from Fukushima. So it's less likely to have radiation in it. And otherwise, I mean, don't stress out too much about this, but there are it's just good to look for brands that are also tested for heavy metals, because obviously while algae is amazing at detoxifying heavy metals, it can ironically contain a lot of heavy metals as well. So just be something to look out for. I will also link my favorite algae supplements below because I just think that it's such a great thing. It's not, I mean, personally, I love seaweed. Kind of like depends on the source. I mean, I wouldn't say spirulina is like the most delicious thing in the world, but seaweed, like, oh my gosh, I could eat seaweed salad all day. I love it so much. And that's another sign too. If your body's craving it, you most likely need it. Okay, the next one, next on our list, is going to be turmeric. I feel like everyone knows by now, turmeric is very good. It's an anti-inflammatory, and it really just reduces the toxic effect of fluoride. So while you're getting rid of your fluoride toothpaste and water and things like that, it's just going to help to decrease the effects of it. So not a whole lot on that one, but we all know that turmeric is very good for us. Another one is going to be apple cider vinegar. This is another one that I think we all kind of know is good for us. I kind of go through phases of consuming it and not consuming it. There are multiple ways to consume it, whether you want to do just like a shot. I tend to like to tell people to add a little bit of water to it so that it doesn't burn your esophagus. At least that's been my experience. If it doesn't hurt your esophagus, go for it. At least for me if you're just starting out, I definitely like to mix it or dilute it with a little bit of water. And if you need to, you can add some honey or a little sweetener as well. But I think ultimately it's going to be best with just like water and the apple cider vinegar. And apple cider vinegar basically helps to detoxify heavy metals, and it's so nutrient rich with its own minerals and vitamins and enzymes. So it really helps to replenish our body with the necessary nutrients. And it even helps to cleanse our lymph nodes. So it increases circulation. So circulation is able to make its way up to the pineal gland. So that's super important because that's all the way in our brain. We obviously want to be getting as much oxygen. So that's super important. Another little tidbit I'll add with ACV is just when you are purchasing it, just make sure that it is in glass and has the mother in it. This is like the starter, basically. And I'm doing like little air quotes because this is what's gonna make it a good brand to use. Next up, and second to last, is gonna be boron or boric acid. Now, this is don't let the name scare you or anything. You can take this just like straight up boric acid, but I just like to recommend people consume foods that have boric acid in it. So these are going to be things like our avocados, our almonds, bananas, beans and legumes, and beets, dates, prunes, and walnuts. So all of these foods are great sources of boric acid, and this is just a trace mineral. Our body needs trace minerals, and in our typical society nowadays, many of us are very depleted in trace minerals. So getting in these minerals from food is going to be amazing and help to really just optimize the pineal gland. Okay, lastly, told you guys I was going to save my favorite one for last, and this is because it's my favorite food. And this is going to be raw cacao. So I am a huge chocolate lover. I eat it every day. Chocolate is my favorite thing. Personally, the darker, the better. I like love that super bitter. Like I eat 100% chocolate. I love it so much. I think it's such an amazing food. So if we consume raw cacao, it increases the size of our blood vessels. And as I just mentioned, if we have more blood vessels, we have more blood flow, which thus we have more oxygen, which can make its way up to the pineal gland, supporting healthier function, supporting healthier detox. So many people have our detox pathways are blocked. And this results in a buildup of toxins. So when we can do things like consuming raw cacao, which is high and in these compounds and nutrients that increase the size of our blood vessels, we can then support all of our organs, all of our endocrine system, all of every function in our body. Every body is going to be different and benefit differently from different things. But I think personally that cacao is a great way and a delicious way to just really take care of our body. Again, a note on raw cacao. This is just really important because it's important to find at least good sources. So just as all of the other things I've mentioned, not all are created equal. So it's important to get raw, first of all, because many cacao powders nowadays are actually roasted. This is denaturing and eliminating the enzymes and nutrients that are naturally found in cacao. So if we can get it raw and not heated, that is going to preserve the beneficial nutrients and compounds in the cacao. I will once again link some of my favorite brands. And what do I use cacao in? I try and not try, but I end up using it almost every day, whether I put just like a scoop in my smoothie or in my oatmeal. I love making my own mochas by like just some organic coffee, and I always blend mine up with some coconut oil and collagen usually, and I'm putting just like a scoop of cacao. I also love mixing it with yogurt for like a super yummy and decadent snack. I love baking with it. However, as I mentioned, it does destroy those compounds. So if you make like raw crackers or, raw type snacks, I mean, gosh, there's like a million raw goods that you can find on Pinterest now, like brownies and things like that, which now that I'm thinking of it, you could like get a bunch of these nutrients all in one. If you made like those raw brownies, you could use the dates and cacao and bananas and what's that saying? I don't like to say kill two birds with one stone, but that saying where you can knock out a bunch of these in one. So that's an amazing way to optimize your pineal gland in like, gosh, the most delicious way. To recap, I will just list them all again so that you guys can have them all kind of in one place. So it is 1, milk thistle, 2 is going to be chaga, 3 is going to be iodine, typically in the form of algae, spirulina, chlorella, seaweed, all of these. Number 4 is going to be turmeric. 5 is going to be apple cider vinegar. 6 is going to be boron. And 7 is going to be raw cacao. So these are my favorites. These are the ones that I think are actually really easy to add into our diet, add into our life. And here's the thing, you do not have to go and get all of these today, incorporate all of these today. It's a little bit at a time, doing what you can with what you have. I try to include ones for you guys that are really accessible because, there are some things for pineal gland activation that are super expensive supplements and things like this. And I want this to be super easy and tangible and things that you can find at your health market or any store, because I think that we could all use some pineal gland activation, and we could all use this deeper connection to our intuition, into ourself, into our higher power, because that's ultimately what helps us live the best life that we can. If we're connected to ourself, if we are able to feel confident in making decisions and trusting that we're making the right decisions, this is huge, because so many people are, myself included, don't know how to make good decisions, or don't know how to always trust themselves, or wonder if they're making the right decision. Even just feeling like disconnected from yourself, or like your sense of judgment of things is off. All of these can be optimized just by these simple tricks and foods. That is it from me. And and on other things to stop, at least be aware of. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. I don't do this every day, but I try to consume organic or non-GMO when possible, as well as switching to a fluoride-free toothpaste and get a good water filter that filters out the fluoride. Those are my favorite tips. If any of these resonated with you, if this is something that you think that maybe might help you in your life, let me know. And if you start incorporating any of these, let me know. I really want to hear from you guys. Tag me on Instagram at I am Jasmine Elise, and show me what you're incorporating to activate your pineal gland. And until next time, I am sending you all infinite love and light. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, share it with a friend. It really is together that we grow. Also, please head on over to iTunes and leave me a review. I would be so grateful. And lastly, take a screenshot, let me know you're listening, and tag me on Instagram stories at I am Jasmine Elise. And until next time, I'm sending you infinite love and light.